Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons, back with some signature guitar-like goodness for you here. Surely one of the original shredders, what do we think, guys? And of course, Deep Purple's main axeman, Ritchie Blackmore. Three licks in ascending difficulty, exploring different areas of Blackmore's playing style. I forget just how varied a player Blackmore is and all the different textures and vibes he'd bring to some of the songs and solos. Probably one of the most creative, or at least innovative, rock players ever. The tabs, including PNG, PDF and guitar profiles, are up on my patreon.com/JBF Music if you want them. If you enjoy this kind of thing or the content I'm putting out in general, please do let me know with a like and a comment. Both really help out the channel as well as the visibility of this particular video. It makes it pop up in searches and easier for other people to find and all that good stuff. If you haven't already, feel free to give subscribe a click and do the whole notifications thing to let that ever-changing algorithm know that you'd actually quite like to see more of the stuff, but let's crack on, eh? One of the more melancholic lines from Child in Time. We're kicking off with a full tone bend. Release it and come down the scale. We let this 14th fret sustain for a wee bit and then bend it up by a tone. Adding in some vibrato. If you want some tricks on adding vibrato to bends while keeping it sounding smooth and controlled, give the little eye up there a click. You might have noticed I'm using my first and second fingers for this bend. That's just because it makes playing this next bit a little bit easier in terms of the fingering. We play that note unbent, and then you're bending the 15th fret by a tone. It might actually be slightly flat like a quarter tone bend, but then we do hit it again with a full bend and also add in a bit of harmonic attack. So it's not a full in pinch harmonic, but a little bit of a harmonic attack. I'm finding using my neck pickup is getting that kind of subtle partial pinch better than using the bridge. Up to you what you go for. But it just adds a little bit of spice on top of the note. We release this to a half step bend and then pick the next three notes. So to recap that bit, because it is a bit fiddly, you've got the full tone bend, which might be the 3/4 tone one. You then hit that again with a pinch harmonic, or partial pinch, and then we're moving it down to a half step bend, and then all the way down to here, right? This might be a bend and release, but I hear it as more of a pre-bend, so you want to get up a tone, hit the note, release it to pitch. And we're going to hit here, do a little hammer-on pull-off, so a little trill, and slide down. Now this first 13th fret is really quite quick, you don't really hear it, it's more of a kind of a grace note more than anything else. So just be quite quick with that hammer. The next bit's really similar, we're going to play the 14th fret, then pull off to the 12th, slide down to here, and then a really nice bluesy thing to wrap it up. We're going to hit these first two notes, pull off, slide, and pluck these two. Some vibrato on that final note. A brief look at the note choice here. We're in A minor playing over an A minor chord in the first bar. So we've got a fourth being bent up to the fifth. Fourth, flat third, second, root. We bend this up a tone in the next bar where it's changed to G major. So we're now playing its third, bend it up to a B. Okay, you add in the vibrato. We're still over the G here. You release that bend, get the second. Then we're bending the fifth up to the sixth. And that again with that pinch thing. Down to a flat six, just kind of in passing. Then we've got the fifth to the fourth, back to the 5th. Chord changes to an A minor here again, and we're bending this 4th to the 5th like we did before. This is the one that I think is more of a pre-bend, so I suppose really we're going from the 5th down to the 4th. Trilling flat 3rd, 4th, flat 3rd, sliding down to the 2nd. Root, flat 7th, sliding down to the 6th. So a bit of a Dorian flavour, and then we're coming down the blues scale with the 5th, flat 5th, 4th, slide to the 3rd, root, flat 3rd to wrap it up. If you like this Dorian blues sound, check out the little eye up there for more on that hybrid scale. This is very modal playing, so sounds a lot less bluesy than Blackmore's contemporaries back in the 1970s. The sad vibes really come from hanging on the 2nd, when we're playing over that A minor, and also the 6th. Specifically this trill and slide down, or this kind of one we do here, which longer term viewers might recognise from that video up there on Iron Maiden's Dave Murray and his playing habits and typical lines, which I suspect he might have borrowed from this very Blackmore solo. So something I touched on a little bit here, in terms of the sound, I'm going with the neck pickup. You could use the bridge or middle pickups and just roll down your tone a bit, put on a hefty amount of reverb and a touch of delay for that authentic sort of sound. To compensate for the lack of bluesiness in the previous solo, I've opted for a more traditional part of the solo in Hold On from Deep Purple's Stormbringer album. Cheers to Marco Benzoni for suggesting this solo. Sorry if I butchered the pronunciation of your name there, mate, but there's some really great playing and awesome phrasing throughout this whole solo. It's a swing vibe to it, so you've got that kind of groove going on. We're hitting this note here. Then I think there's a rake here, but I can't be totally 100% sure. Use at your own discretion. So hitting this 15th fret, raking through the G string. We've got a bend here by a semitone, and keep this very staccato, so abrupt short sounds, like in the Since You've Been Gone solo, a breakdown of that with the eye up there. But we bend that note again, right? Return to pitch and bend it again. You might want to think of this as almost a vibrato. I've notated it as two bends because it is very distinctly going two bends rather than a, kind of wild vibrato thing. But after that, we pull off and have the following 6 notes. Bend this note by a semitone again, and that staccato way where we mute it when it reaches pitch. Since it's pre-bent already, what we do is just hit it down, return it to pitch, and pull off. Pick these 3 notes. So this 14th fret here is really a grace note. You don't hear it too much, so you want to slide very quickly to the 17th fret and add in vibrato. Tone bend, then you're going to need to mute it, drop this a bit to get to pitch, to get that. It's a bit like in Gary Moore's solo, Still Got the Blues. We've got a tab, slow play through, demo and comprehensive breakdown from that. We're clicking the little eye up there. We then pick these 2 notes, add vibrato, and wrap it up by picking these last 3 notes as well. Alright, to look at the note choice, we've got this 12th fret. It's a pickup over the G major chord. We're playing a G, so it's just the root. Then we switch to an F major chord. Here we're bending the 6th to the flat 7th. With that kind of vibrato thing, instant Mixolydian vibes. We're then pulling off, so we've got the 5th, 3rd, 6th, 5th, 3rd, 2nd. The next bar, that same 6th to flat 7th bend idea. It's pre-bent, so we just return it to pitch with the next hit. Pulling off to the 5th, 3rd, 5th. Then what we do is we slide up to the 5th, but on the G string. I think this is a really neat trick. Instead of just sliding into the same note, on the 13th fret, he uses it on a different string. It's a really subtle difference, but it sounds so cool. So you want to add some vibrato to that. The next bar we're playing over a C major, where we're bending the 4th to the 5th. This pre-bend on the 3rd makes it a 4th, so it would be here. but because we've got it bent up to that pitch, we get a fourth, then we get a third when it's released to pitch, and then the root. Kind of leaning into that sus4 idea. And then in the next bar, we've just got the fourth, third, and the root. To me, this lick really captures Blackmore's take on the more major sounding blues or perhaps somewhat country flavours, adding his own unique subtle twists, like that kind of slide, or using the fourth to imply a nice little sus4 chord. We've got the typical Blackmore staccato and pre-bends things that just make his playing pop. Got that really nice 6th to flat 7th bend, and resolving to the 5th, you know, being a great blues rock cliche as well. Alright, Deep Purple's lazy to touch on some of Ritchie's faster lines, mixed in with chromatic notes as well now. I'm not totally sure on the positions, but from watching videos of the shapes he likes to play in, I'd guess this is what he does. More than happy to be corrected if anyone knows better. So what we're doing is sliding into this 5th fret from the 4th, pulling off, and then plucking these next 2 notes. You repeat that same idea 3 more times. So the slide, pull off, pick the next 2. So. Okay, this is where I suspect the position shift happens. If you have difficulty picking all these notes because it is at quite a high tempo, just use whatever legato or tricks you need to get the lick up to speed. But what I think he's doing is picking these first 4 notes, pulling off, picking this one, and you want to slide into this. It's a really quick grace note slide, so just kind of for effect. It doesn't really matter if you come from the 4th fret, you can kind of come from anywhere, just slide into the 5th fret a little bit, it's going to have the same effect. We've then got these notes here, so I'm picking the 8th fret, and pulling off, all the way down to the 5th. This 8th fret by itself. So to recap that, we're picking, pull off, this note by itself, the grace note slide, picking the string once and the pull offs, picking this note. You repeat that phrase again. As indicated by the repeat marks there, that's what those mean. Then the next part here, we're basically starting off the same, so we're picking these notes, picking this one with the pull off. Again, here's the same. Then what we do is we vary it a little bit. After that, the next bar starts off the same, so we're picking these 4 notes like we did before, pull off. Then we're basically taking this little bit here, right, this, and looping that essentially. So you got that 8th fret, grace note slide, 8th fret by itself, 5th to 6th fret pull off. And as you can see, hopefully by the overlay up there, we're just doing the same thing. And then changes a little bit, and you're going to pick this 8th fret twice, pull off to the 5th, this one by itself, then back to kind of the standard thing we've done before, the 6th to 5th fret pull off, 8th fret, grace note slide, and again hitting this string with a little legato run down, picking this, and wrapping up just as we started off the second section. Resolving to this note and adding in some vibrato. In terms of the technique, I'm pretty much alternate picking it and using the legato where it is in the tab. I think Ritchie might kind of economy pick this with a kind of an upward pick slant, but like I say, just do whatever tricks you need to do to make this playable. And if you're still here, cheers for sticking with me, and a shout out to the Lick Squad Elite. You guys rock. We're in F minor here, which is not a very common key for rock guitar songs at all. The backing is just sort of vamping on an F minor, that kind of chord. So what we've got here is the flat fifth, sliding up to the fifth. So the blues note to the fifth slide. We then got a pull off to the fourth, flat third, and root. We're just doing that same idea. You'll probably recognize this kind of pentatonic blues shape. On to the next part, we're starting on the second, flat third, fourth, flat sixth, pull off to the fifth, fourth, flat fifth, sliding to the fifth, coming down the fourth, flat third, second, root. Again, we repeat that verbatim. Then it starts off the same, second, flat third, fourth. Just taking a smaller fragment of this phrase and looping it. So we have the flat sixth to fifth, fourth, flat fifth, sliding up to the fifth, fourth, and that same idea. After this note, we're kind of varying this theme, so we're going from the flat sixth to the fifth, playing the flat seventh twice, fifth, fourth, flat sixth, fifth, fourth, that flat fifth to fifth slide, fourth, flat third, second, root. The final bar, we're going from the second, flat third, fourth, flat sixth to fifth, fourth, flat fifth, sliding to the fifth, just like before, and that's where you add in the vibrato. An Aeolian blues hybrid scale here, which Ritchie Blackmore is one of the very few players who use this with some degree of frequency. Randy Rhoads is another one I can think of for an example of that. Check out the little eye up there. This like combines what is essentially thematic development or variation, which is very typical of classical music. You've got a great example of the more structured, studied side of his playing. So you know how we have that? He's just repeating that verbatim. And then he's still kind of using this slide in the second part. So you still have a kind of rhythmic idea and this slide going on. And then he kind of varies that pattern again where we get the... So he's basically taken one theme and just kind of expanded it, while still infusing more of the bluesy ideas. I would struggle to think of players who are doing this kind of structured approach to playing as early as 1970. Early John Roth might be one, particularly if we're talking about adding in the neoclassical influences here. But he's still fusing in the bluesy ideas with the playable modes and these more classical things as well. Click there for Ritchie's iconic solo and Since You've Been Gone, tab, slow demos and breakdown all included. This has been Signature Guitar Licks, that's the playlist there. But yeah, hit subscribe to keep up to date with the channel, leave a comment, check out the tabs on my Patreon and enable all notifications by ringing that little bell on the side if you feel so inclined. Cheers guys.